This is Neural Newscast.
The essential stories for Wednesday, July 15th, 2026.
From the Neural Newscast newsroom, I'm Thomas Keene.
And I'm Isabel Moreno.
Brent crude reached $85.92 a barrel this morning, as hostilities between the United States and Iran entered a third consecutive day. This surge marks a one-month high for the international benchmark, as the conflict clouds the outlook for the Strait of Hormuz.
United States Central Command confirmed multiple drone, air, and naval strikes against Iranian military targets earlier today. These operations followed a 7-hour overnight mission intended to degrade Tehran's ability to attack commercial shipping in the region.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps responded by claiming hits on 2 oil supertankers and launching strikes against United States assets in Kuwait and Bahrain. The Iranian military has declared the Strait of Hormuz closed until the United States ends what it calls acts of aggression.
President Trump announced that a planned 20% transit toll will be replaced by massive trade and investment deals with Gulf states. However, he warned of strikes against Iranian power plants and bridges next week if diplomatic talks do not resume.
Market analysts at Sparta Commodities note that the Strategic Petroleum Reserve Buffer is being depleted. This leaves global markets more vulnerable to supply shocks than they were during the initial stages of the conflict in March.
Vessel traffic through the strait has plummeted by more than 50% since last week, according to marine traffic data. Only 57 transits were recorded over the weekend, compared to the pre-conflict average of 130 ships daily.
While the United States Department of Energy claims oil flow remains consistent with recent averages due to military assistance, prices continue to climb. Commodities experts suggest that a move toward $100 per barrel is possible if physical shortages become a reality.
In other news, Spanish authorities are holding American citizen James Fergie Chambers in Madrid following a United States extradition request. Chambers, an heir to the Cox Communications fortune, was arrested in Ibiza on Friday for allegedly providing material support to Hamas. Prosecutors focus on more than $1 million in humanitarian aid Chambers donated to projects in Gaza. His legal team argues the case is political persecution aimed at chilling support for Palestinian causes. Legal experts suggest this is the first instance of the United States seeking the extradition of a citizen for Hamas-related charges in this manner. The Spanish High Court now has 40 days to decide if the request will be granted. Left-wing members of the Spanish government have called for protection for Chambers, describing the arrest as a result of repression from the Trump administration. They argue that extraditing him would set a dangerous precedent for free expression and political participation. Chambers has a history of supporting progressive and anti-imperialist causes, since selling his family stocks for $250 million in 2023. He previously funded a direct action against a defense contractor in New Hampshire before moving to Tunisia.
Turning now to North America. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum is requesting that criminal charges be filed in United States courts. The request follows the deaths of 17 Mexican citizens who were either killed by United States immigration authorities or died in their custody.
The most recent incident involved the shooting of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo by an ICE agent during a raid in Houston on July 7th. President Sheinbaum stated that while she seeks to avoid conflict, Mexico cannot remain silent about human rights violations against its citizens.
This legal move arrives as relations between the two nations remain strained by tariffs and the expiration of major trade deals. Sheinbaum has maintained high domestic approval ratings by balancing economic cooperation with strong assertions of Mexican sovereignty.
Foreign Affairs Minister Roberto Velasco indicated that letters of protest to Washington have so far produced no results. The Mexican government is now calling on all political parties and society to show solidarity with citizens living in the United States.
Next, France celebrated Bastille Day yesterday with a massive military parade on the Champs-Élysées. The event served as a major display of European unity, featuring Ukrainian troops and fighter pilots in the place of honor. President Emmanuel Macron hosted 30 world leaders, including Volodymyr Zelensky, for his final Bastille Day as president. A record 7,600 troops participated in the parade, which Macron described as an illustration of Europe's strategic reawakening.
The celebrations were complicated by a red alert heat wave and ongoing forest fires in southern France and the Fontainebleau forest. These conditions led authorities to ban traditional fireworks and firefighters' balls in several regions, including Paris.
Despite the weather, the parade included a coalition of the willing comprised of countries that have pledged post-war security assistance to Ukraine. This included Air Force planes from the United Kingdom, Germany, Poland, and Italy trailing smoke in their national colors.
Here is what else we're watching. In Texas, the French national soccer team faces Spain today in a highly anticipated World Cup semifinal. The match has drawn significant attention across France, with hundreds of fan zones established in cities and small towns. On Thursday, the Spanish High Court will hold a bail hearing for James Fergie Chambers to determine if he can be released while awaiting the extradition decision. This hearing is a critical next step in a case being closely monitored by human rights groups. We are also looking ahead to next week's deadline for President Trump's threatened infrastructure strikes in Iran. Military analysts are watching for any signs of a diplomatic pivot that could prevent further escalation in the Middle East. That is the news for now. Thanks for listening.
I'm Thomas Keene.
And I'm Isabel Moreno.
Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.